Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. I hope you guys are keeping well. Um, we're getting to that time of the year, nearly going into 2022. Um, I hope you guys are enjoying yourself, keeping caution at the same time, um, keeping yourself safe. And yeah, let's get into this video. Guys, as you know, it's been a trending topic in boxing right now about Canelo and Beterbiev. A very, very trending topic. A topic which, is starting to gather some pace, starting to gather some momentum in terms of what the boxing fans want to see. I think it's starting to get to that stage where it's not quite as big as GGG and Canelo, but it's getting to that stage where the fans were wanting to see Canelo fight GGG. I think it's getting to that stage with Canelo and Beterbiev where we could see within the next 6-7 months the same kind of demand and the fight. Listen, I don't think it'll be as big as GGG and Canelo just because of the fact that I think Beterbiev isn't as big a name, and I don't think within the next 6-7 months to a year, which I think the fight will take place, I don't think Beterbiev will become as big as GGG. I think GGG's a name and fame was growing, and Beterbiev should be as well, but unfortunately, I don't know whether it's his promotion, it's him himself. It just doesn't. I don't feel like he appeals to casuals. But having said that, Beterbiev needs a breakout fight. Canelo Alvarez would be a breakout fight, especially if he wins it. Khabib was the same, really, where, Khabib in the UFC wasn't that big a star, but eventually the way he was knocking guys out, the way he kept, just winning and winning brutally, eventually his name got out there. And I think the Conor McGregor fight really made him huge, but I think prior to that, he was already a massive star. I think the McGregor fight just made him cross over because how big McGregor was. And I think Khabib benefited from that promotion, that benefit from that fight. And most importantly, he won the fight. So Beterbiev will have that chance as well if Canelo does face him, which I think he will. That Beterbiev will have an opportunity to, make himself a crossover star if he was to beat Canelo. He'd become a huge mega star. Especially in Russia, and Russia get behind their athletes as well, so Beterbiev he'd have a lot of support from Russia as well. So Khabib was the same. Russia fans really got behind him and supported him, and not just that, even at a government level they support their athletes. So yeah, I think if Beterbiev can beat Canelo, it would be huge. It'd be huge for him. It'd be huge for his profile. It'd be huge for him. Huge for his legacy. But this is the kind of fight where, look, we were talking about it on the live stream. Steven mentioned it, and a lot of people were calling Steven a hater, which obviously Steven isn't. Steven isn't a Canelo hater. But what Steven was trying to say is that, and I still don't agree with him about Canelo being fight of the year, because what we're doing is we're putting high standards on Canelo, in the sense that if that was any other fighter, we'll be praising him. The fact that Canelo was such a big favorite against Callum Smith, Billy Joe, and Caleb Plant, that's not his fault. That just speaks to Canelo's greatness. That's not his fault that the champions in a division are not on his level. That's just Canelo being great, not the fact that champions are poor, because those fights against anybody else will be tough. If those champions fight each other, or those champions fight Benavidez, they'd be tough fights. But Canelo's so great and got so much more experience than all of these guys that Canelo just demolished or beat him easy. But those, like I said, those fights wouldn't be that easy for other fighters. Canelo's just that great. Hence why Canelo is pitched by another standard. Like, Canelo is judged by other standards. Unlike the other champions. But that aside, Beterbiev's a kind of fight where people are doubting Canelo. People are saying Beterbiev's too big, too strong. He'll knock Canelo out. So Canelo Alvarez has got an opportunity to prove his greatness further by beating someone like Beterbiev. Because there's a lot... Listen, nobody thought Billy Joe, Callum Smith, Caleb Plant was going to beat Canelo. Yeah, there was the Canelo haters out there that were saying that, but generally most of boxing fans thought Canelo was going to win quite comfortably. However, when I speak to people about the Beterbiev fight, there is a lot of people that think Beterbiev, the ones that were saying Canelo would beat Caleb Plant easy, the same ones are saying that Beterbiev's too big, too strong, and will knock Canelo out. So it's an opportunity for Canelo to silence critics, and also people that are saying he's ducking Benavidez, Andre, Charlo, all those guys. It's an opportunity for Canelo to shut the critics up. And I don't think if Canelo was to take this fight that anybody can say that Canelo's ducking anyone after that, because, you know, I think it'll be blatant that Canelo would be fighting a guy that's way more dangerous than Andre, Charlo, and Benavidez. Like, Beterbiev would knock those guys clean out, in my opinion. So, for me, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for Canelo Alvarez to put a stop to all the critics by taking that fight. Now, I personally think the Makabu fight will definitely happen, because I think Eddie Reynoso they want to become a cruiserweight world champion, which is fair enough. But then after that, I would love to see him take on Beterbiev. And Eddie Hearn's right when he says, you know, Canelo, he wants Canelo to clean out that one side. I think even Eddie Hearn looks at the cruiserweight fight a little bit like it's a bit of a nothing fight, you know, whereas he rather Canelo get down to business and try to clean out the 175-pound division. But even if Canelo does go up to cruiserweight and beat Makabu and become cruiserweight champion, I think if he fights Beterbiev after it, I think he should let the fans know his plan. Obviously, you know, he's going into a championship fight. If he was to fight Makabu next, you know, you can't guarantee if Canelo gets injured. He may not be able to fight Beterbiev next in the sense that, you know, in September. I think Canelo might fight probably twice next year, in May and September. And if he beats Makabu, hopefully the fight in September is Beterbiev. That would be, I think the fans would be more than happy with that. More than happy. Obviously, there'll be the haters out there that will continue to hate, but the fans, majority of the hardcore fans, will be very happy with Canelo fighting Makabu and Beterbiev if that's what he intends to do. I think the Beterbiev fight is massive. I do. I think it's a huge fight. I think it's the biggest fight in boxing. Just because of the fact that I think Canelo would be in a fight where actually people think he can lose. And a lot of fights that Canelo's been in of late, even though he's been in there with champions, it's just been an event, because every Canelo fight is an event. But there's not been no intrigue in terms of that. People always felt he was going to beat the guys that he was fighting. Nobody thought, like, it would have been a massive shock if Canelo was to get beat by Billy Joe, Callum Smith, or Caleb Plant. Let's be brutally honest. It won't be a massive shock if Beterbiev beats Canelo. Like, a lot of people think. To be honest, if I was to do a poll right now, I think I won't be surprised if Beterbiev wins the poll, or it's very close, or Canelo wins it slightly. I wouldn't be surprised, because it's that kind of fight. Like I said, I put up my videos on Facebook and stuff, and I see the reaction that I'm getting. People think that Beterbiev will beat Canelo. People think Beterbiev will knock Canelo out. That's what a lot of people are saying. Even in my videos, if you look in the comment section, there's a lot of people, and they're not haters. They just generally got their opinion that Canelo will get knocked out by Beterbiev. I don't think Canelo gets knocked out, but I definitely think he can be out-hustled. And he may get knocked out, because here's the thing. What people don't understand is Canelo's got a great defense, and people say Canelo's got a great chin. Yeah, but Canelo has had issues with his stamina in the past. And when you've got a guy like Beterbiev who's pressuring you, on top of you, hunting you down, Canelo could tire. So Canelo might not get knocked out because, you know, his chin can't hold up to Beterbiev's power. I don't think that's the case. But Canelo could get knocked out just because of the fact he gets tired and fatigued, and Beterbiev just overwhelms him. That could happen, guys. It's not so much Canelo will get knocked out because Beterbiev's got power and he'll hit him with a shot. And no. Canelo's got a great chin. We know that. But he could get overwhelmed. And that's what makes the fight interesting. You know, because I've always said that Beterbiev's got the type of style that will cause Canelo issues. He's a pressure fighter, a very strong, hard-hitting pressure fighter. And we saw GGG give Canelo trouble with that style, same style. And Beterbiev's bigger, stronger. He punches harder. Naturally, he's a bigger man. You know, when a lot of people say, well, GGG hits harder. No, he doesn't, because GGG is a smaller man. Naturally, pound for pound, maybe GG hits harder, yes. But if you were to put GGG's power and Beterbiev's power, you know, if Canelo was to take a shot from GGG, he probably takes it much better than he would take the Beterbiev, because Beterbiev he's bigger, he's stronger, he's a bigger puncher. He's a bigger man. You know, if GGG, right, pound for pound is a bigger puncher than Anthony Joshua. But Anthony Joshua hits harder than GGG. He's a bigger man. Do you understand where I'm coming from? And the same with Beterbiev. He's a bigger man. Beterbiev's a guy that probably on fight night is over 200 pounds. GGG's not. Beterbiev's 6 foot. GGG's about 5'10". Beterbiev's just naturally a bigger man. You know, like we saw, Beterbiev struggled to make 175. You know, so imagine how big Beterbiev... Imagine what Beterbiev walks around at. If he's struggling to make 175 at the weigh-in, he's struggling. Imagine what Beterbiev walks around at. Imagine what weight Beterbiev walks around at. When he's walking around like he's not 6% body fat or something crazy like that. Imagine what Beterbiev walks around at. He probably walks around at maybe 200 pounds. Think about it. If a guy is 175 pounds, he's weighing in at 175 pounds and he's ripped to the bone at 175 pounds, right? Which is a very big guy, by the way. If you're 175 pounds and you're ripped to the bone, you're a massive dude. That's big. You're a big guy. Yes, Beterbiev is 36 as well. So, you know, he's at the end of his, you know, career in terms of like, he's not got that long left in his boxing life in terms of how long is he going to go on to. I know with the science and all the you know, resources that the boxers and athletes have to their disposal in today's time, that they can go on a bit longer, but your body is your body and age is age. The aging process is the aging process. So Beterbiev's probably got a couple more years left for him to fight, right? Even with the science and even with the resources and even with all of that, he's probably got a couple years left. So he's at the end of his thing. So obviously where he's at right now, he's, you know, 175 is different. But let's not forget, didn't Beterbiev fight Usyk as an amateur? Having said that, Porter fought Usyk as an amateur. So that doesn't really, you know, and look at the Usyk's a heavyweight now and Porter's a welterweight. So, you know, we can't really take too much into that. But Beterbiev is a big guy. He's a massive guy. There's no two ways about it. He's a big guy. He's a huge guy. And that would be a challenge for Canelo. Without question, Beterbiev's pressure, strength, size, power would all be a problem for Canelo. There's no doubt about it. I think we all know, I think even the hardest Canelo fans know that, you know, it's a challenging fight for Canelo. Even if you're a hardcore Canelo fan, we know that it's a very hard fight. Whether you think Canelo will beat him or not, it's a hard fight. Either way, Canelo's a hard fight for Beterbiev because Canelo's not like any of the guys that Beterbiev's faced, you know. And people keep referring back to, well, Beterbiev beat Usyk as an amateur. That's an amateur. That's amateurs. That was a long time ago. When was those fights? Probably 10 years ago. You know, a lot has changed since then. You know, but that was a long time ago, right? Now it's a different ball game. Beterbiev's older. This is a pro game. Pro games are different. Right? So at the end of the day, we need to now see how Beterbiev does against Canelo. And we need to see how Canelo does against Beterbiev. I think styles make fights, and stylistically, it's a great matchup because Canelo likes a guy that comes to him and Beterbiev goes to his opponent. So we're going to get a war. But it's going to come down to who's boxing. But here's the thing, what people got to understand. Beterbiev does have good boxing IQ as well. A guy with that kind of amateur pedigree, he's got great boxing IQ. Canelo's obviously proven his boxing IQ against more proven professionals. Do you see what I mean? Like, he's got more experience in the professional game, but we can't count out the fact that Beterbiev is also a very skilled operator, and he proved that as an amateur. I know the amateur and the pro games are a bit different, but nevertheless, if you look at it, that generally the most successful amateurs do go on to become great pros. Majority of them, right? They do go on to become great world champions. And anyone that goes on to become a world champion has had a successful career. Unless, you know, they were destined to do more. you know. But even if you even if you were destined to do more and you don't quite reach your potential, if you go on to become world champion or a unified champion, you've had a great career. There's no doubt about it, because how many fighters go on to become world champions or unified champions? Very few. So for me, Beterbiev's already had a very successful career, pro and amateur. He's obviously a very skilled fighter, very strong fighter. Canelo's obviously an all-time great already. And this is an opportunity for him to add to his legacy further. It's a great matchup. It's a 50-50 kind of matchup. I think the fight needs to be made now. I think any later than next year, the fight will start favoring Canelo, because Canelo is obviously the younger man. Beterbiev's older, so Beterbiev's most likely going to start to slip because he's older. He's just an older man. You know, he's 36, turning 37 soon. So if they wait next year, Beterbiev will probably be 38. You know, he's getting older. So the sooner this fight gets made, the better, you know, in terms of the competitive aspect of the fight. The sooner this fight gets made, the better for the boxing fans, because we'll be treated to a great fight. So yeah, hopefully this fight gets made. I think it's a fight that we all want to see. It's a fight that, you know, will divide opinion. And it's a fight that could go either way. So leave your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.